The news ownership company for which I used to work has laid off its fact checking team. Tegna, they own a gazillion stations across the country, local news stations, broadcast television stations. And they had this unit of reporters, which weren't like investigators exactly. They weren't investigative teams necessarily. They were like maybe your uh, fast food version of investigative teams. Like they would do a day turn, meaning they'd have to have everything done by the end of the day. But their whole focus was fact checking, getting to the bottom of misinformation, getting the facts straight. And here's a fact they can fact check today. They no longer have their jobs. Was that too harsh too soon, Bill? I don't know. I mean, I probably know some of the people that got laid off, and I'm not trying to make a joke at their expense, but I will say this, though I don't wish ill will on any of them. Like, I totally hope and wish them the best in their next journey and getting their next job. But
Right.
this whole verify thing was a massive, terrible disaster for journalism. It was so biased. It was not fact checking. It was not getting to the bottom of misinformation. And often it was pushing misinformation. It was like going to the CDC website. If the CDC said it, then you checked it. It was a fact. It was just one of those ventures. And I really no love lost for the program. Sorry for the people who lost their job. No love lost for the program. Bill, what do you think about this?
Well, to put it in context, Tegna does own a lot of TV stations. As of right now, they own 64 TV stations spanning all the way from Seattle to Louisville, Kentucky, and Arizona, back to Flagstaff, Arizona, and Alabama. So they own 64 TV stations. But in the grand scheme of things, they are kind of small potatoes when you compare them to Nexstar and Hearst and Gray. So that's kind of, they're a little bit lower, but that's okay. They still own a lot of TV stations. But I think this is telling. This is what is more telling because I pulled up some numbers on the stock exchange right now. And outside Nexstar, they are down today. They are down about, well, they're popping back up. Nope. Now they're back down. And Sinclair has been down forever. Sinclair is down 4.4% stock today. Gray TV, they're up a little bit, but it's minuscule. The only one of these big TV companies that are making money or had the biggest change over the last 2 days is Tegna. They're up over 2%. So, what does that tell you? They get rid of this really terrible program. And I echo Allison's words, for the people who lost their jobs, I hate it. My heart goes out to you. I mean, especially in this day and age, because I don't care what anybody says. There's job listings all over the place, but nobody's hiring. Okay. They're just not. So my heart goes out to those folks. But Tegna, with this announcement in the last 2 days, they've gone up a point each day. So they're the only ones making moves on the stock exchange as far as TV media companies that own a lot of local TV stations.
This article from Adweek, Tegna just laid off its Verify fact-checking team. The team's stated mission was, quote, to stop the spread of false information. They employed a team of roughly 20 journalists and producers whose content was distributed through Tegna's local news stations and digital properties. And there were people at my station who were doing this back when it first started. This was kind of a Trump era, 2016 era venture.
Right.
So that's when all this hullabaloo about fact checking and misinformation, like that's when people started caring about that for the first time. Not for any other presidency, apparently, but we really had to get to the bottom of it. Anyway, what I thought was interesting is that the quote there from Ellen Crook, who I believe is no longer with Tegna, but she was a very high up manager when I was there. She, you know what? Actually, I was chosen under her leadership to go teach at certain Tegna stations, teach reporters how to shoot video and stuff like that. So she was a leader way up when I was in the business, but this was kind of her baby, I guess, this Verify thing. And quote that they have here is, our audiences are consuming news and local news in a way they've never before, where their lives literally depend on it. says Ellen Crook, Tegna's VP of News. They are desperate to find somebody without an agenda, without spin, to take some of the things that are out there and help them be smarter about what's true and what's not true. And you know what? Yeah, that's true, but that wasn't what you guys delivered on. I hate to say it. Verify, it still pushed a lot of just government propaganda and big pharma propaganda, and it was just another one of those those ventures that popped up during the Trump preliminary presidency, the first presidency, where journalists were like, okay, we got to do journalism differently. We can't be quote objective in the way we used to be. We have to be really aggressive about going after lies and misinformation. Like the Trump presidency offers us a very different challenge, and we need to rise to the challenge. And that was definitely the climate in which Verify came out of. Now, one real challenge in today's world is getting a good glass of wine. Okay. I'm going to verify this for you. Allison Wine Promo is the best wine you will ever have, while also supporting free speech and the people who get to come on this show and answer your questions directly, who are maligned by the mainstream media, probably ended up in some of the Verify sections. And were probably raked through the mud by my peers. So you get to hear from them directly. So what's better? Great glass of wine and supporting free speech. There's nothing better than that. This is the best glass of wine you will ever have for those reasons. It also happens to come from very remote parts of the world. So it's a very good glass of wine. Excellent bottles. Okay. You get 6 every 3 months because you're in a club. So every 6 months, you get a new shipment of bottles. Sorry, every 3 months, you get 6 bottles. If you're not a wine drinker, save them as a present for other people and learn about where they come from. The family vineyards, the 200-plus-year-old vineyards, the vineyards between 6 and 9,000 feet in elevation. These really are all vineyards that come with an amazing story. And so you'll be able to tell your friends, if you're giving the bottles away, where they all come from. And you go to the awkward cocktail party, you'll be the life of the party. Not because you are the one running around with a punch bowl on your head, because you brought the best bottle of wine to the party.
Can I,
AllisonWinePromo.com.
can I add something?
Yes.
For all the men who are watching this right now,
Valentine's Day, please.
exactly. We
Thank
are
you.
less than 2 weeks from Valentine's Day. If you're not getting Allison wine for the love of your life, for your woman, then what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Bill. Well, I won't tell that joke right now. I'll save it. I'm going to save it. I'll save the joke. I actually thought better of myself. Okay, so the fact checkers are out.